Welcome everyone to Whimsy Woven Stories. Here, we explore gripping tales of real-life twists. Join our storytelling community. My wedding was this past weekend, and I'm honestly still in shock over what happened. My fiancé, now wife, and I have been together for 7 years. We've gone through everything together, moving in, job losses, her battle with anxiety, everything. So our wedding day was supposed to be our day to finally celebrate all that, right? Well, it was until my brother decided to ruin it. For context, my brother, 30 male, has always had a weird thing about pranks. He calls them jokes, but honestly, they've always been mean-spirited and embarrassing. Growing up, I'd laugh it off or get mad, and he'd say I was being too sensitive. But this time, it went way too far. During our reception, he got up to give a speech. I thought it would be nice. Maybe he'd say something heartfelt for once. But no. Instead, he pulls out an effing slideshow of hilarious photos of my wife. Old ones from her Instagram where she's crying, looking vulnerable, or just super unflattering. And he starts making jokes about her weight fluctuations, saying how she used to look like a twig when we first started dating, and now she's more well-fed. My wife's face turned white. She started crying quietly. And my brother, he just kept going, laughing like he was the funniest guy on the planet. The whole room was dead silent. I saw it. I stood up, walked right over to him, and told him to leave right in the middle of his speech. I said he was done, and I didn't care if he was my brother. My wife was humiliated. He tried to brush it off, saying I was ruining the fun and that everyone else thought it was funny. No one laughed, not one person. He refused to leave at first, so I told security to get him out. He stormed out, calling me an effing drama queen on the way out. Now, my parents are furious with me for embarrassing my brother at my own wedding. They think I overreacted, that I should have let it slide because he didn't mean it. My mom even said my wife was overreacting too, and that this was all just part of his sense of humor. My wife hasn't stopped crying since. I told my family we're taking a break from them. But now my phone is blowing up with texts from my mom and dad, saying I've fractured the family and ruined my own wedding over a joke. I get that I blew up, but I couldn't stand seeing my wife so hurt. Did I go too far? Am I the idiot? Some relevant comments. Your parents are the reason your brother has problems now. You need to tell them that your brother has alienated you, and no one else at the wedding seemed impressed with him. By refusing to teach him how to behave when he was nasty as a child and by making excuses for him, they have isolated him. Your brother ruined your wedding, and your parents are supporting him and continuing to hound you about it. I should tell you all you need to know. Not the idiot. He ruined the wedding by being cruel and using the excuse that it was a joke. Your parents obviously are either dumb or have facilitated this poor behavior in him so much that they are delusional enough to think it's okay to call a bride fat and humiliate her at a wedding. Then have the audacity to try and guilt you for standing up for your wife who was crying at her own wedding. They are toxic. You seem like you have overcome these dysfunctional interactions and become enough of a human being to know it was unacceptable. I would keep my brother and my parents away from the wife. They will bully her and belittle her until she is so beaten down like the bullies they are. Not the idiot. Your brother is the one who fractured the family, not you. Honestly, go LC or NC with them. You have your own family now. Focus on that. Update. Hey everyone. I posted here a little while ago about what went down at my wedding, and I just wanted to say thank you for all your comments and support. It's been a rough week, but I figured I'd update everyone on what's happened since then. After kicking my brother out, I stuck to my word and told my family we were taking a break. I blocked my brother on everything, and my wife and I decided to focus on each other for the week, just trying to recapture some of the joy that was stolen from us on our big day. We went on a mini honeymoon to a cabin we'd rented and tried to shut out the drama for a bit. However, as soon as we got back, my parents showed up unannounced. They claimed they just wanted to talk it out, but the second they sat down, it was clear they were there to defend my brother. They kept repeating that I overreacted and that he was just trying to be funny. My mom even said, "You know how your brother is. He didn't mean to hurt anyone." I told him that whether he meant it or not, he did hurt my wife, and that's not something I can just brush off. My dad then hit me with, "Family is family. You don't turn your back on blood," and I honestly lost it. I told him that my family is the one I chose to build with my wife, and if they can't respect her, then they don't get to be a part of our lives. They left in a huff, saying that I was being manipulated and that my wife was too sensitive. The day after that, my brother tried reaching out, through a mutual cousin this time, saying he didn't mean any harm and that he's willing to forgive me if I apologize for embarrassing him in front of everyone. This absolutely floored me. I realized in that moment that he still doesn't see what he did as wrong. I haven't responded, and I don't plan to. My wife and I have started couples therapy, not because there's anything wrong between us, but because I want to make sure that she feels supported and knows that I'm fully on her side. It's been helping her process what happened, and I think it's helping me realize just how toxic my brother's behavior has always been. We've decided to have a small private vow renewal next year, just us and a few close friends, to reclaim what that day was supposed to be for us. In the meantime, we're focusing on our future together and cutting out anyone who doesn't respect us as a couple. So yeah, maybe I did fracture my family, but if my brother's jokes are more important to them than my wife's happiness, then I'm honestly okay with that. Thank you again to everyone who reached out. It meant more than you know. Relevant comments, Mom, Dad, Brother. Here is a bill for our wedding and the reception. Until I am reimbursed in full, I'm going no contact with all three of you. And for the record, this is my decision. My wife wants to let all this go and move on, but I do not. You all have made excuses for brother's crappy, immature behavior his entire life, and now it's cost you one of your children. The three of you will pay for the wedding brother ruined. Even if you have to mortgage your house and work until you are 80 to do it. Or this will be the last time any of you see or hear from me. Not the idiot. Holding them financially responsible doesn't mean you forgive them. It just gives you the ability to have Wedding 2.0 without them. I love this response for 3 reasons. Anytime they try to initiate contact, you can reply, "Do you have my money?" "No." "Okay, goodbye." The burden in terms of fixing the situation is clearly in their court. No ambiguity. And 3, people who owe you money tend to avoid you. The problem solves itself. Mini update. Wow, I'm honestly overwhelmed by the support and feedback from all of you. My wife and I have been through the ringer lately, and seeing this community rally behind us means more than I can put into words. Hearing your stories and advice has really helped us feel less alone in all of this. It's tough standing up to family, but knowing we're doing the right thing makes it worth it. I'd love to keep the conversation going. Your perspectives have been invaluable, and I'm still reading through all the thoughtful comments. If you've got any more advice or similar stories, please share. And if any of the responses resonate with you, feel free to give them some love with an upvote. You've all been incredible, and your support really makes a difference. Thank you. Standing up for my wife wasn't just a choice. It was a must. When you commit to someone, you commit to being their biggest advocate, especially when they're hurt or vulnerable. I couldn't just sit back and let my brother disrespect her, no matter the circumstances. Marriage is about being a team, and that means stepping up, even when it's tough or comes at the cost of upsetting others. At the end of the day, your spouse is your family, and their well-being has to come first. I'm grateful that so many of you understand and appreciate that. It's something we should all strive for in our relationships. Update. Hey everyone, I'm back with another update, and wow, I'm honestly still blown away by how much support this post has gotten. My wife and I have read through so many comments, and it's really helped validate our feelings during this tough time. Thank you all so much for that. A bunch of you suggested I show my parents this post to help them understand just how wrong my brother's actions were. I did, and let me tell you, the reaction was mixed to say the least. I sent them the link and told them to read through the post and comments. I wasn't expecting them to suddenly change their minds, but I was hoping they'd see how almost no one is defending my brother's actions. My dad hasn't said much since, but my mom doubled down, saying that the internet doesn't know our family and that people are too quick to judge. She even tried to say that the commenters don't understand that my brother just jokes like that. Needless to say, we're still not seeing eye to eye. I told her that this isn't about my brother's intentions, but about the harm he caused my wife, and if she can't understand that, then we need more time apart. As for why I didn't punch my brother in the face like many of you suggested, I get it. Trust me, the thought crossed my mind in the heat of the moment. But honestly, I knew that if I reacted physically, it would have taken the focus off what really mattered, my wife's feelings. It wasn't easy to keep my cool, but I didn't want to give my brother the satisfaction of making me look like the bad guy in front of everyone. Plus, I didn't want to escalate things even further and turn an already horrible situation into an even bigger disaster. I needed to be there for my wife, not in a brawl. At the end of the day, kicking him out was the right call. I chose to stand up for my wife in a way that protected her dignity and our marriage. My wife has been incredibly supportive, and we're focusing on moving forward together no matter what my family thinks. Thank you all again for your comments, advice, and kind words. They've been a lifeline for us during this really difficult time. Relevant comments: your mother, defending your brother's boorish behavior, just showed off what a S-bag she raised him to be. You may want to point out that he embarrassed both of your parents with his display, too. He showed your family and the world they taught him that attacking a woman on her wedding day was not only acceptable to them, but defensible. So, they're crap parents. Congrats, I get what you're saying. And it's hard to ignore how my parents have enabled my brother's behavior for so long. It's not just about the prank, it's about the pattern. The fact that they're defending his actions on such an important day does speak volumes. My goal isn't to bash them, but I do hope this serves as a wake-up call for them. At the end of the day, my wife comes first, and I won't let anyone, family included, treat her like that. They need to see that actions have consequences, no matter how funny someone thinks they are. It wasn't a prank. A prank involves a joke. Like if he hid tiny rubber ducks all over the venue, that would be a prank. What he did was spend, from the sounds of it, hours on finding pictures, editing them into a slideshow, and writing a horrible speech. All of this was to humiliate you both on the happiest day of your lives in front of everyone you love and care about. Hey, OP's mother, I don't get your son's humor. Could you explain these jokes to me? What is it that makes them jokes? What makes them funny? Why would someone getting upset about these jokes make them oversensitive, as opposed to just a regular person with feelings? Please enlighten the internet so we may understand. Answer from Mom. I understand that everyone has different senses of humor, and while my son's jokes may have been in poor taste to some, he didn't mean to hurt anyone. He's always had a playful personality, and sometimes that means crossing a line without realizing it. I've raised my children to embrace laughter, but I can see now that this went too far for the situation. In his mind, he probably thought it was just teasing, something siblings or close friends might do. But looking back, I can see why it upset so many people, especially my daughter-in-law. Humor shouldn't come at the cost of someone else's dignity, especially on such a special day. I'll have to speak with him about this so he understands that not everything can be brushed off as a joke. Final update. First of all, thank you again for the overwhelming support and thoughtful responses. My wife and I truly appreciate how many people have taken the time to comment, share advice, and express their understanding. It's been a huge relief to know that we're not alone in feeling how we do. As for the family reactions, well, here we go. My mom, after showing her the post, the comments didn't exactly change her mind right away. She stuck to her belief that my brother's actions were meant as teasing and kept trying to frame it as a harmless joke. However, the sheer volume of comments calling him out for being cruel and insensitive did seem to make her pause. Eventually, she admitted that while she didn't like the way I handled it, she can see now why it hurt my wife so much. She's not fully there yet, but it feels like a small step forward. She also mentioned she might reach out to my wife to apologize, which is something. My dad was more quiet about it. He didn't say much when I showed him the post, but he did acknowledge that maybe my brother went too far this time. He's still upset with me for causing a scene at the wedding, but he seems to understand a bit more now why I had to step in for my wife. He's definitely not thrilled with how things played out, but I think he's starting to realize that this wasn't just a harmless joke that everyone could laugh off. My brother, oh boy. My brother, on the other hand, doubled down when I showed him the post. His response: the internet is full of soft people who can't take a joke. He dismissed the whole thing, saying that people are just overly sensitive these days. No amount of comments pointing out how hurtful his actions were seemed to get through to him. He even had the nerve to say that I overreacted for clout by sharing the story online. It's clear that my brother still doesn't get it, and honestly, I'm not sure he ever will. As much as it hurts to say, I think this incident may lead to more distance between us, and for now, that's probably for the best. Where we stand, my wife and I are taking some time to focus on ourselves and heal from all this. We've set boundaries with my family, especially with my brother. We're working through it, and I feel more confident than ever that standing up for her was the right thing to do, no matter what anyone says. This whole experience has shown me who truly has our backs. Thanks again, Reddit. This journey has been a wild one, but you've all made it a little easier to handle. Edit. Wife here, just wanted to share my gratitude. Hi everyone. I've been quietly reading through all the comments and support from this community, and I can't express how much it means to me. Seeing so many people validate the hurt and humiliation I felt on what should have been the happiest day of our lives has been incredibly healing. I was struggling with feelings of shame, as if maybe I was overreacting. But your words have reminded me that I have every right to stand up for myself, and I'm so grateful that my husband did exactly that. I felt a wave of emotion since the wedding, but knowing there are people who understand and share the same sense of justice and respect for others' feelings has helped more than I can say. To everyone who took the time to comment, offer advice, or just show support, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You've truly made a difference in helping us move forward. Relevant comments. Glad to see this update. Your parents still infuriate me. It feels so obvious. A wedding is one day that is supposed to be about celebrating the people getting married. You prepare for it, you plan a bunch of crap. And so for someone to make it so the most memorable event of a wedding is negative is completely and utterly unforgivable. I think it's clear that your parents have gotten so used to making excuses for your brother because he is completely unreasonable and incapable of being considerate to others. And so the only way to keep the family together and keep the peace is to enable him and let him do what he wants. Remember this, now and always, keeping the peace just means appeasing the most unreasonable, selfish person. You hit the nail on the head. It's so frustrating to realize that my parents have been enabling my brother for years, probably as a way to keep the peace, like you said. But that peace comes at the cost of everyone else's well-being. It's one thing to overlook smaller offenses, but what he did at our wedding was a line that should never have been crossed. This was supposed to be about celebrating love, and instead, it became about dealing with his selfish behavior. I've come to see that keeping the peace in my family is just code for letting the most difficult person do whatever they want without consequences. And you're right, there's no real peace in that, just avoidance. My wife and I both deserve better, and we're setting boundaries to make sure this doesn't continue. Thanks for understanding and for calling it out so clearly. The irony. Not sure if that's the right word, your mom calling you stopping your brother from a full-out PowerPoint presentation at your wedding with the sole objective to humiliate the bride in front of an entire wedding. 100 or so people making a scene, but not what your brother did. You shut down and making a scene. It's like she would have rather everyone sit there quietly while her new daughter-in-law be publicly humiliated and degraded. Your mom needs to do some serious soul search to think you stopping the humiliation is causing a scene. But the humiliation was not. This touches on a part of OP's story that I cannot get my head around. Brother had this speech in motion and the entire room was quiet. No one laughed. That means mom and dad didn't laugh either. They had to have read the room at that point and had the ability to understand it wouldn't be smart to laugh. Yet they are still defending the brother's horrible speech and behavior. Isn't the opinion of a room of close friends and family not enough to let them all know the brother isn't funny? Yeah, if anything, the brother humiliated himself in a room full of people who went quiet because they were uncomfortable. He doesn't know it yet, but he has unintentionally blacklisted himself as he has shown everyone that not only is he not funny, but he is a bully. Thanks for listening. Share your opinion in comment section and also do like and subscribe to the channel.